What about diet? I'm sure everyone asks you about diet and eating, and I know you've said things about, the training and exercise and diet and eating. How do you feel about what your athletes consume? And then I'm curious what you think of things like veganism.
Okay.
Ito's famously calls out the vegans, and
I know, it cracks me up.
And a few people do, but yeah, just curious what you think about that.
The biggest mistake I see with eating is people overconsume. They overconsume. I always try to figure out things of what is our body meant to do? What was the environment that we evolved in? And we didn't evolve eating 3 meals a day. We didn't evolve eating steak 3 times a day. It just wasn't possible. I'm sure they would have if they could have, but a lot of those buffalo weren't laying down just waiting, to chow down on. It wasn't happening. So we were meant for feast and famine. I evolved over the years into, if it's a hard training day, I'll probably have 2 meals that day. Okay, I always train fasted. Okay, since I was young, could never train after I eat. And but I know other people, and then if it's a non-training day, I'll do a single meal. Okay, and it's natural and it's easy. As soon as, part of it might have been getting older. Okay, but it's interesting to look at how many diseases are actually diseases of excess. So here's a system that's trying to digest and eliminate material that we've just ingested. And before it has a chance to complete that process, we're putting more in it. What happens? Why do they get indigestion? Indigestion is the easiest thing in the world to fix. You take hydrochloric acid. Done. A friend of mine who was a Navy SEAL, I was like, man, I can't handle that protein in that beef anymore. I must be older. He's like, Coach, you're just getting older. You just got to reset your hydrochloric level acid in your stomach. Boom. I said, well, how many do I take? He said, start with 1. Okay. And if I don't feel anything, he said, take 2. If you start to feel a little burn, okay, step off. You know what your dosage for your stomach. Sometimes he does 2 or 3. I'm a 1 500 milligram tablet guy. Right? In fact, I have a hydrochloric in my pocket right now in case I have a big meal later. But and I might do that. I find myself where I might have to do that for a few weeks, and then it'll be reset, and I won't have to do it again for a month. But think about what they do for antacids. They're doing the exact opposite. Right? They're taking something alkaline. They're trying to reduce the level of acidity in their stomach when it's exactly the opposite. The reason their stomach hurts is they can't digest what's in there. The reason they can't digest is they're eating too often. They're eating too often. The stomach hasn't had enough. It's because it's easy, right? It's fluid. Well, it's not had enough time to regenerate that yet. Right, I had breakfast, I had lunch, I had dinner, I had a snack in between, and I had a snack after dinner. They might have eaten 5, 6 times in that day, and that hydrochloric acid is every single time. Every time. So
too much frequency, too much eating.
Too much frequency, too much volume, too much processed food. It's interesting. I think I saw this on Joe Rogan with Rhonda, where she made a comment that all ethical considerations aside, but people who eat the most vegetable matter are more centrally located around equatorial regions. Right? They're wet, moist climates where things grow. People who eat the more meat are either in a very, very cold environment or a very, very hot environment where things grow. Like, I had friends who are doing the gathering, and they're on our forum. They're collecting all this great stuff. They're in Montana, they're in Michigan.
What's the gathering?
These guys, some of them are bright people, right? Well, they'll go out and harvest their own food, not just hunting, right? But it might be they're going to get wild rice, right? And they're going to process it and store it, or they'll go out and get their own vegetables and stuff. And they're putting up photos of this awesome looking banquets. And it was killing me. And they're like, Coach, what do you think? I said, I can't do gathering. What am I going to eat? I live in the desert. I'm going to eat rattlesnakes and cactus. No thanks. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. But so I think that could someone, in terms of veganism, it's something we can do now. interesting to notice that the hunter-gatherers, whether it's the Hadza, whether it's in South America, whether it's in Australia, they are never vegan by choice. They just aren't. Never. It never happens. So it could be, it was hunt, it was the season, but as soon as they can get some meat added into the diet, they do it. And for the other people who aren't, try going a week without much protein. All right, just kind of do regular, and then have some nice buffalo, have some nice beef, and watch your body just digest it like that, and feel that warmth spread through the body.
You mean a week without animal protein?
Correct.
As opposed to vegetable protein. All right,
Correct.
So you're not convinced that the vegan diet is the thing that's going to...
Well, it's not natural.
Right.
It's not natural, but with today, in today's day and age, with supplements and the way we can mix and everything, I think we can get around a lot of the restrictions that it would have been, because how is a vegan going to have starches and carbs in the middle of the winter? Not going to happen without all our industrial base that delivers all these products, right? Now I'm just talking, historically in terms of evolutionary biology.
Right.
Now, as a personal choice, I have no issue with it. If it works for them and they feel better, I'm great with that. If a tool is there, there's nothing wrong with exploring it and seeing how it goes. Is it optimal? I don't think so. But it's not something I worry about.
Right. Interesting. I asked the same thing to Charles Poliquin, and he works with a lot of Olympic athletes, and he said no. He's like I haven't seen it happen. And when I did my Ironman this year, I got challenged to do it on a plant-based.
Because you did do plant-based, right?
I did.
How was that?
I went on it for 4 months. In the beginning, Chris, I was under-eating because I was used to more concentrated calories. So the training was hard, and I realized I needed to up my volume. But the truth is, I had an amazing wife that was cooking literally 3 or 4 meals a day for me, and again, sourcing all the latest, let's call it technology, in all these fascinating plant-based proteins and foods. And so I had an amazing amount of choice. Nice. With that choice and that engineering, with some supplements and things like that, I felt great.
You felt
and,
okay, sure.
And it seemed to work well. My joints and everything work well. That being said, probably not an easy thing for everyone to recreate. And without someone really doing, if I had to do it alone as a single man living in a 1-bedroom place, it would have been hard.
All of us single men would starve to death, right?
Right, yeah, that's true. But I found it interesting, and I definitely feel my joints, everything else was good. Now maybe that has to do with some of I'm listening to you now, and I was doing breakdancing for 12, 16 months, a lot of high rep stuff, a lot of stressing.
A lot of impact.
It might have helped me on these long runs and these other pieces. So, it's interesting to hear what you say. That might have helped as well. So I'm right now staying on it until I find a good reason to get off of it. But
see, I love that approach. I'm a firm believer, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Right. Don't fix it. We see people change their training and their diet all the time when it's working for them. And I was like, what are you doing? I said, guys, picture this. You're surfing and you're on this great wave, and out of the corner of your eye, you see another wave. So you're going to jump off this great wave that's here right now in the hopes of the one behind you is just as good. Why not finish this wave and then go get another one?
All right, so you're a big fan of letting people stick with something that's working
Stick with it, because it's the only way to know.
Right.
It's the only way to know. Because like personal experience, I saw an article the other day, probiotics are bad for you. Okay, well, I was having several years back, severe digestive issues. Maybe it's, 3 or 4 years back now. That went fast. Nothing would digest. Nothing. If I ate a high-fat diet, it didn't digest. High-protein diet didn't digest. High-carb, low-carb. You name it. Vegetables, it didn't matter. It would not digest. Bloaty, gassy, miserable. And I was like, I am not living 30 more, 40 more years like this. Screw this. I'm not putting up with this. This is nonsense. This is miserable. And trying to find a solution, and came across something one day, I looked up symptoms and somehow managed to come across something that said probiotics may address these. Luckily, a good friend of mine trained professional athletes, and over the years, these guys, they spend $500,000 a year on their training, so they don't care what their supplements cost. So I had these laboratory grade supplements that he had given me. So downstairs I had laboratory grade probiotic, went down, 12 hours later. Wow, are you kidding me? It was that simple. It was that simple. So visit with some people, and they put me on a protocol of, these were like 50 billion laboratory grade per, so I did one with each meal 3 times a day, and that lasted for about 6 weeks, and just kind of naturally tapered off by itself. Never any more problems. So every once in a while, I usually will do 2 or 3 per week, just to repopulate. And the recommendations were to have different kinds of probiotics, so there'd be different colonies of flora. Since it worked, I never really went down that route, so I just stayed with that particular probiotic. Amazing. So you know, when I see that personal experience, the whole point of that was when you know something from personal experience works, kind of doesn't matter what anybody says. Now, this says you shouldn't be doing it. Well, you know what? I don't care. I've been there. I've done that. You know, so I appreciate you going to the effort of writing that article, but I'm not interested.
Right, because you've seen that in all of your years of training, where we do this way because it works, and then 10 years later someone tells you why.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And they're always, have you noticed, they're always jumping from crisis to crisis. Nutritionally especially. Gluten is evil. Fat is evil. Carbs are evil. Too much protein is evil. Vegetables are evil. Vegetables are the cure. It's always, I think a lot of it is just marketing to get you to jump to a new product rather than just some moderation and patience.
Yeah, it's kind of the human way.